Hi, my name is Stefan, and this is Faith, Family, the Flag, and the Future. Welcome. Today's episode is going to be about caregivers. And I was inspired to do this episode because of a post by a high school classmate of mine, and some things that she's doing as a caregiver that inspired me to reflect about caregiving. So I'm going to back up a little bit. I'll include what she's doing generically in this video. Um, Not necessarily going to mention her by name, but she'll know who she is. So let's back up. We've just been through, and probably still going through a little bit, a pandemic. And I know that our first responders, nurses, doctors, and everything through COVID 19, they've received a lot of national accolades, and you've seen the nurses coming out of the hospitals in some towns have, people outside of their balconies and windows cheering them when they come out, and they greatly deserve that. Um, and you know, my wife's daughter, for example, works at one of the largest hospitals in Detroit, and she is a ICU nurse, and she's been on the front lines of COVID for more than a year, almost you know I don't know, it's like a year and a half or something now. Um, but she's seen some very horrible things as she's gone through this, and um, some of these nurses and doctors, it's like going through war. It's some of these folks are going to need counseling like PTSD. Um, some of them have worked 6, 7 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day through the entire thing. And um, some of these people, they haven't been able to help at all. And to see people die day after day has just been horrible. Uh, Not only my wife's daughter, but a high school classmate named Karen in North Carolina. She's been through this too. She's a flight nurse, um, and others I may not be able to think of right now, but those are frontline nurses that have been through all of this, and it's just it's really tough. And those people we should thank for their service. Um, Now, a lot of people that do this go unnoticed and unthanked. Um, you know, all through this, you've got your nursing home workers. Um, Now, a lot of people look down on nursing homes, but people that are in nursing homes, a lot of times their families put them in there. Now, some families go and visit their families in nursing homes, but other people, they put their families in there, and then it's like a trash bin. They put their families in there and they never go back to see them. So those caregivers are the only people they know, the only people they can depend on. Um, so those caregivers in there are the only hope those people that are in those homes have, the only faces they see. Now, you have some workers that are fantastic, and then you have some workers that don't need to be in there at all. But for the ones that care, we need to thank those people for their service. Um, I used to own a handicap transportation company, and I serviced 30 or 40 different nursing homes. And some of the people that I met during the time that I owned my business, which was over 10 years, there were some phenomenal people in those places. Caregivers, physical therapy people, administrators. Um, there were some pretty great people in some of those places. Um, Home health aides. My wife works at a home health care agency, and um, she sends people to different people's homes to care for them. You know, they go there for anywhere from an hour to 6 hours to do different tasks for them, whether it's cleaning their house or changing them or giving them their meds, things like that. She sends nurses and unskilled aides and skilled, CNAs and things like that. Different levels of care. So those those caregivers that go into those homes meet all kinds of conditions, whether the home is in very bad condition um, or if it's in good condition. But they meet all kinds of things when they go to those homes. Ungrateful family members that berate them when they get there, or sometimes you have ungrateful clients that use everything from profanity to um, those that are mentally off a little bit, that you know let's just say they run into all kinds of stuff. um, so um, we should thank those folks for toughing it out even during COVID. Um, and then you've got the social workers that are responsible for these clients that try to work with the difficult clients so that the social workers, so that the aides and nurses can do their jobs. Um, and then you have people like my wife, who she's simply a scheduler and sort of a dispatcher, and she's the one that ultimately has to keep the peace, because she has to negotiate the caregivers to keep them going to the jobs. And even with difficult clients, she has to try to convince them to go. So she's the voice of calm for her caregivers. And then when the clients get all flustered and out of sync or whatever, and they say, I don't want that caregiver, well, that caregiver may be the only one available. She has to negotiate with that client to say, look, this is the only one I got. So, she has to be the voice of calm for that client. So it creates quite a bit of stress for her. So we have to thank people like my wife for keeping the peace and being the voice of calm for both caregivers and clients. So now we get to people that are caregivers by default. Like the person that inspired this video was a high school classmate of mine who has a friend that at one time she dated, and he's having severe medical problems. So out of her compassion, she has decided to care for this person. I'm not sure if she moved in with him or is she just spending a lot of time with him, but he's in and out of the hospital having severe medical issues. And from what I understand, from what I'm reading, he's having procedures in the hospital that are not being successful. So, of course, that's causing depression and other things. He's losing hope. She's trying to keep that hope alive, as well as keeping him alive. And people like that are one in a million. So let's take that one step further. We know a lot of people who have stepped up to take care of family members, whether it's a mom, a dad, a husband, a wife, children that have childhood cancer, a friend, an uncle. There are families that step up to do these things. There are best friends that take care of each other. For example, We had a client when I had my transportation company that had a best friend that took care of her friend until she succumbed to cancer. And that person, I think, became one of my drivers. Um, Very compassionate person, one of the best people that I had work for me. So there are many, many circumstances where these people are just super compassionate, and we should be thankful for those people as well. Um, I have a couple of people that were classmates. I have one that's going through cancer treatments now. Um, Big guy that I knew in elementary school. And I hope that he's going to do well. This is second round. You know who you are, and we're praying for you. And have another friend of mine that he's not going through cancer treatments, but he's got some other issues. Big guy that was on my wrestling team, and always praying for you, buddy. And these guys, um, they know the value of caregivers because they've been in the hospital. They've depended on caregivers as well as myself. December 2020, I had a heart attack and I was in the hospital for a week or so. And I know the value of caregivers. Um, and, you know, it is something that when you're there, you depend on. So the compassion of these people to give you assurance that everything's going to be okay. Um, I have my wife's best friend has a daughter that's 30 years old now, which is kind of unbelievable. This young lady has a disease that has haunted her since she was like 13, and she spent half of her life in the hospital. So, caregivers in the hospital are something that I'm sure she's very thankful for. Now, we also have to be thankful for people that are in children's hospitals. Now, children's hospitals, the caregivers there have to be a special kind of caregivers because they not only have to take care of their medical needs, but their children. So they have to have special kind of care. They have to be special attention to the children and their needs as children. So, and to add insult upon injury, for the last year and a half, we've had to deal with COVID rules. So families have not been able to go into the hospital while their loved ones have been there, which has caused even more stress. So, excuse me, with all of this that I've just been through, we all need to just be thankful that there are people out there with the compassion to do this kind of work. And remember not to get frustrated at these people if you don't get your way. Okay? Now, I know there are people that are a little slow, they don't do things your way, blah, 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 blah. But let's not get our tempers up, and be civil. Okay? So, there is scripture for caregivers. It's found in the Bible in Hebrews 6, verses 10 through 12. For God is not unjust. He will not forget how hard you have worked for him and how you have shown your love to him by caring for other believers as you still do. Our great desire is that you will keep on loving others as long as life lasts, in order to make certain that what you hope for will come true. Then you will not become spiritually dull and indifferent. Instead, you will follow the example of those who are going to inherit God's promises because of their faith and endurance. So, keep on caring and giving care in hopes that you're giving example of those that are going to inherit God's promise. I think that's pretty good. So I hope some of this is inspiring, or at least makes you feel that there is hope. And please give thanks to the caregivers, and God bless. This has been Faith, Family, the Flag, and the Future. Please hit the subscribe button. And just in case you would like to join us in this conversation, if you've seen this on something other than Facebook, there is a Facebook group called Faith, Family, the Flag, and the Future that you can join. And we'd love to have you in our conversation. Have a great day.